This is an Evergreen Media Network studio production.
Hi, welcome to Silver Linings. I'm your host and sometimes co-host, Janine Barrows. Today, I get the pleasure of speaking with Miss Moreen Burkart of Music Matters. Welcome, Moreen. Oh, I'm so excited that you're here. I, like many individuals, tie music to memories and good feelings, well, sometimes bad feelings. So it was no surprise when you and I met many years back and you started telling me about how music can be used in a therapeutic way. I think there is a lot of people that still don't know that or understand how that might be able to be applied to their worlds. So how are you?
I'm good. I'm really excited to be here.
Tell us first, before we get into some of that, how did you end up in a job, an industry, a career with being able to play music and being able to provide therapy while doing so? How did that culminate?
Sure. Well, growing up, music was a big part of my life. My whole family is very musical, and I loved to sing. Singing is my passion. So, of course, as a kid, you dream of being a singer in the industry. Mm-hmm. So I went to school thinking that's what I would pursue and do.
Oh, wow.
And my first degree was in music tech with minors in business and psychology. And the psychology was just because I'd taken a gen ed class and I loved it. I was just fascinated by people and understanding them. And I just thought it was such a fun topic that I decided to minor in it. And it was my psychology professor that said, hey, did you know that there's an actual industry or field where you can combine your love of people, understanding and working with people, and music? And I had no idea because it's
light bulb, right?
Yes, it really was. And I was, I think, a junior that at the end of my junior year, and I only had a couple classes left to finish that degree. So I was like, well, I'll finish this degree. And then I went right back to school for music therapy. And it was absolutely perfect for me, my passion and love for music, without, crazy music industry toughness, but like getting to work with people. And that was what I discovered with the music tech degree. It was a lot of in studio, computer, not people. And that's what I'm passionate about, is working with people. So I combined my two loves, and I've been just so passionate about it ever since.
How neat. I know you said, oh, who doesn't love being, musical? Who doesn't want to be a singer? I think you're right. I think we all do. And we all find a vibe with some kind of music or genre that kind of sticks with us, or maybe a song that highlights an emotion that you're having. I vividly recall thinking that I was too going to be somebody someday. Solid Gold was not kind to my imagination. And so I would record myself singing on this little box recorder. And then one day, one of my girlfriends were all over visiting for a sleepover, and I heard the unforgettable, awful sound of my voice after somebody clicked the play button. And I think that was the end of my singing days.
Oh, I think we all hate our voice in recordings, though. You can't judge it by that, because when we hear our voice on an audio versus what we hear in our brain, it's so different.
Oh,
so.
I thought it sounded good in my brain.
Exactly. And you know what? I tell people all the time, singing shouldn't be about how good you sound. It should be about how good it makes you feel.
Yes.
So you should always sing.
Yes. And no doubt that I felt very, very famous in the moments that I was recording my singing. Oh, well, we won't talk about the great reveal again. But just the same, when we spoke many years ago and you were kind of telling me a little bit about what you do and how it gets applied, I was a little in shock because it made absolute sense. And even just logically, without conversing with you, and somebody said, hey, have you heard of music therapy and what it does? I would immediately think about triggering memories with music, because I believe we all had them, as I said. And I would also think possibly through some kind of vibrational change that you could communicate with individuals that might be or seem closed off because they don't communicate in the same way, and that this might be a manner in which to reach to them. But I know there are many other ways that music connects in a therapeutic manner and purpose. So Tell us, educate us.
Okay. Where to start? So you're right. It triggers memories in us, and it's so powerful. And in that aspect, so you think about populations like people who have dementia. And the reason music is so powerful and triggering still to allow them to sing and remember lyrics is because music is one of the very few, if not the only activity we engage in that is stored in every single part of the brain.
Oh,
so
wow.
it's not just in the auditory center, it is in every part because it makes us move, taps our toes, the movement part. We visually can engage in instrument play and movement. And so music is stored everywhere. So that's why it's so effective in rehabilitation. So we can lose our speech from a stroke or a traumatic brain injury or dementia. Maybe that part of the brain is what's being affected. We can still retrieve language through other parts of the brain, and it actually has the ability to create new neural pathways to help rehabilitate speech. It's amazing. And for the same reason, that's why it triggers movement. It's really great for getting people to move and exercise and improve coordination and fluency. It's really powerful what you can do with music.
What a great explanation to kind of understand that. Yeah, you're right. I guess I didn't think about the fact that it is stored in other areas of the brain. I imagine not understanding the neurological pathways, that they're all just like, hey, this is the party zone. All the music's over here.
Exactly.
But to understand that it is, I guess it makes sense. It's stored in a multitude of areas in the brain. And if one doorway is closed, maybe tapping and knocking on a different door might give you access or give you happiness or pleasure or bring out a characteristic or part of the personality or even physical movement. That's really neat. Can you tell us a little bit about the type of individuals that benefit from reaching out and possibly bringing music therapy into their world?
Everyone. I mean, music is a universal language, is it not? And it's very rare. And there are instances where music therapy is not appropriate or not wanted by someone because they don't prefer music. But that happens. But everyone could benefit in any way. So I specialize in my experiences working with seniors with neurologic conditions, or I did a lot of hospice and palliative care as well. But music therapists work in NICUs. There's a certification for neonatal intensive care unit music therapists that work with premature babies and singing and using lullabies to help soothe them and decrease this overwhelming sensory that's happening when they're in the NICU. And teaching parents on to how to implement calming sensory techniques. And they even invented a pacifier that plays lullabies when they suck on it, and it actually showed that it motivated the babies to learn how to eat.
To move it, to move
eat,
their palate.
yes.
Oh, wow.
So music therapists, a vast number of music therapists work with kids with special needs because of the way music activates the brain is just amazing. So they've done some research with kids with autism, and a neurotypical child, the parts of the brain that activate when the parents are providing affection and love and attention is the same parts of the brain that activate in a child's autism when they're listening to music. So it affects the brain differently. And because of that, it's extremely effective for social skills, behavioral skills, speech. So music therapists work with all populations. I am very passionate about working with adults and seniors with neurologic conditions like dementia, Parkinson's, stroke, traumatic brain injury. That's just what I've always loved working with.
So you had said something earlier about it also being a physical therapy. So, and you had said, you'd referenced the neonatal and that tool with the pulsation, the capability. I actually watched a show where they talked and showed how music has an impact in water. And now there's a lot of art pieces that are integrating water and music and letting the music and the vibrations from the pieces actually create the movement within the water, kind of showing that it's alive in a sense. And so as we learn more in general about the impact, it's not just in a brain or a doorway hidden far, far away. It has actual physical capabilities. And I love the idea and the imagery of saying a pacifier with vibrations has that ability to create the movement and create a sucking pattern possibly and trigger and train that muscle to react. And I can't even imagine those babies getting that therapy today, what that therapist's music line was and what that might look like for them and 20 years when they're in a public forum and that song kicks on.
It's probably like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star,
Right,
a song we all know. But who knows?
But I think that's amazing. And I truly had never thought about it being a physical therapy. I've always thought about it as being a cognitive therapy. I find that so interesting and definitely something I'll delve further into.
We definitely consider ourselves a adjunct therapy. So if someone needs physical therapy, they should get physical therapy and speech and an OT. And we are an added support that adds the element of music to help improve the fluency, coordination, understanding, motivation, because it is emotional. Music, it makes us happy and it makes us move and it makes us engaged.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I can think of songs that think of my grandmother who's long passed, or my high school boyfriend, or my graduation.
Triggers parts of your life.
You know, my senior prom song, things like that. You'll hear it. I couldn't tell you the name of it today, but when it comes on, I'm like, ha ha.
It used to be an intervention when I worked in hospice, because we'd create a musical autobiography, we called it, and find songs that triggered those really strong memories at different points in our lives or reminded us of really important people and created this soundtrack to their life. And it was a gift for their families that they could leave behind with their stories. And
I love that.
Yeah.
What did you call that?
Musical autobiography.
Oh, what a cool experience to be able to hear the finished product on something like that. And better yet, to see their faces as they get to. Oh, how cool. Well, listen, we need to take a quick break, if you don't mind. And we're going to hear a little bit of information from our commercial sponsors, and then we'll be right back.
Okay.
At Sunshine Furniture, our 35,000 square foot showroom is filled with the largest selection of in-stock coastal furniture on the Treasure Coast. Dining and bedroom sets, occasional tables, sofas, sleeper sofas, love seats and chairs in all the latest styles and colors from Tommy Bahama, Lexington, Hooker, Riverside, Universal, Four Seasons, Braxton Color, and Capri. We're the outdoor furniture experts and have hundreds of styles of any patio furniture you need, including a gallery of Berlin Gardens and Bollywood. We specialize in fire pits, outdoor rugs, umbrellas, and replacement cushions. Sunshine Furniture, 1295 US 1 in the Publix Plaza, Vero Beach. Family owned and operated since 1991. Don't forget to visit our outlet store directly across the street, filled with lots of name brand closeouts and sale items. Visit our website at sunshinefurniturecasual.com.
Sunshine Furniture, the best in every way. Ooh, have a sunshine day. Sunshine.
Hi, we're back. That was painless. I'm always grateful for Sunshine Furniture. So if you are in the need, go check them out. But I am also very grateful for our Silver Linings supporters, specifically the individuals at Conway Financials and the legal team over at Rooney. Without their support, we wouldn't be able to bring you the Silver Linings here on the Treasure Coast. So I'm always grateful for them. And if you ever need guidance in either of those fields, please reach out to them. So Moreen and I were having a conversation, and we were talking about the benefits of music being utilized in a therapeutic manner for individuals of a multitude of demographics. So I have a small background, and I mean small background, in the some of the modalities and therapies that can be offered. They all have different kinds of interventions, and help me here. I'm having a moment.
Yes.
They all have these different
tools and tricks that we use and
to
interventions that we've utilized in our trainings. Yes.
Okay. So tell me about what interventions are there for the music therapy.
Sure. So
how that works.
It's very research-based. So that's something we try to emphasize a lot, is these are not just made-up interventions. These are all backed by research and evidence-based proof of their effectiveness. When I tell people I'm a music therapist or they hear music therapy, there's such a fast assumption that it's putting headphones on somebody and letting them listening to a recorded song, and that's music therapy. Or I get from people, I do music therapy every day at home because I listen to music. And yes, music is therapeutic. But our field is it's so much more than that. So we utilize a wide range of techniques, including live music, yes, but then you got to understand that the therapist is not only playing the music, but present to what's happening with the client, so we can change or adapt as needed.
In that moment with them.
Slowing the tempo so they can sing along, or providing breaks so that they can take a breath if they need to, or using big prompting to get them to engage and sing with us as well. So the live music aspect is so important, and the skills that we bring to get the most out of that individual. But then we do songwriting sometimes for emotional expression. It can be a parody where you take a song you already know and just change the lyrics, or an original song. And it's such a healing way to express ourselves and to create something that will last forever. And everybody thinks, oh, I can't write a song, but you can. It's really a lot easier than you think it would be. But then we have a whole side of music therapy called neurologic music therapy, in which they've really advanced in looking at how music affects the brain to create interventions that change the behavior of the individual. So we use techniques like oral motor respiratory exercises. So if somebody has breathing issues from like COPD, or they have weakened speech because of Parkinson's, we can use the vocal techniques, singing, breathing exercises to help strengthen all of those muscles, so that they're not only their speech is better and better articulation and projection, but their swallowing gets better too, because it's the same muscles. And then I would
have never thought of that. And in high school, I did the whole chorus thing, and I remember them saying, breathe in deep.
From the diaphragm.
Sing from deep down in the diaphragm. And I remember being like, you would see us as a whole group.
Yeah. Shoulders come up, but really the diaphragm's down here. So your shoulders shouldn't come up when you take a deep breath. And that's a tool we can teach people, because diaphragm's not only good for breath support, it is what helps us, it's allows us to cough. And how important is coughing in later stages of life when swallowing becomes an issue, and we need to clear our throats so that we can breathe. So the diaphragm strength is so vital and important, and we can do fun, creative ways of playing the kazoo or singing your favorite songs or vocal exercises or the harmonica to strengthen all those muscles.
Wow. That's enlightening. I like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of really cool. So when people hear that music therapy could be an option, and they start looking and they're trying to figure out, is this a good fit for themselves or their loved ones, and what is involved with starting a music therapy, and is it considered the same as any other therapy, and who pays, how does that work? Talk to us.
Yes. Well, our field is still very young, so we are constantly advocating in legislation to try and pass licensure and get more success with billing insurance. When it comes to insurance, we have a high success rate of getting reimbursement for children. Medicare only specifically reimburses partial hospitalization programs. It's a tongue twister. So in a hospital setting. So Medicare doesn't reimburse otherwise for private in-home music therapy or even outpatient or inpatient music therapy services. Now, we're still going to keep advocating, but we are a baby of a field, and it takes time to convince people the importance and how therapeutic this can be. So it's private pay, and I'm the only music therapist that does private in-home music therapy right now for any population. Outside of, we're very fortunate, VNA has music therapy for hospice and home health. So please, if you have home health services or hospice and you want music therapy, please go through VNA. But for in-home private music therapy, you can either go to my website, musicmatterstc.com, or call me on my phone number. I can share that if you want. And I come to your home, because the population I'm passionate about, it's hard to leave the home sometimes.
Yes.
Physically and energy-wise. So I knew I wanted my practice to be so that I went to them to make it easier. So I go to their home and we do an assessment. We talk about their music background. We talk about their music preferences, what music they love, because the more I incorporate that, the more fun and motivating. And we do an assessment of what their goals are. It doesn't matter. You open the box and just whatever. It could be the most random thing in the world, and I guarantee we can work on it with music. So we do an assessment and we find out what's important to them and for their quality of life. And then we create a plan of care and interventions based on that and meet regularly to implement those goals.
I like that. I like that very much. So I imagine in my mind that you're sitting down and you're like, come on, Mrs. Johnson, we're going to write a love song today and we're going to learn how to present this song and we're going to build up our diaphragm strength while doing so. And you're going to come at this in all these different aspects. And music that is chosen is going to flood them with good feelings. You know, so I can honestly tell you that I have seen the benefits of it. I too, as you know, work in with a lot of the geriatric population. And I also work with a lot of individuals with cognitive challenges. And I love when I see their minds come forward and open up and their personalities step out of the shell that they are normally in and engage with this music. When you're sitting with somebody who is 90% silent, and then they burst out into song while somebody's strumming an acoustic guitar and an imperfect pitch, it will definitely catch you off guard. And when you see them smiling and sitting upright, and in that moment, it becomes a reality that you cannot deny. The impact, the positive impact on individuals when music is brought right to them and brought live to them. And it does make sense that it brings back all of these memories in different moments in their lives and turns on a light in that room that had been darkened. So I am blown away every time. And I have not sat privy to because of the situation, but I have been privy to the conversations post-situation for those that want it for comfort and transition. And it is becoming more and more of a conversation when individuals make plans, long-term goals and plans for their own transitions. And so I encourage people that are considering music therapy to reach out and touch base with Moreen, have a conversation about if it's right for you, for your family, and how it might benefit and give you some quality of life. We're not all talking about end of stage. We're not all talking about cognitive situations. Sometimes just the therapeutic benefit of positive connection to music helps people that are just having a challenge or a barrier at this moment. So you would say that you would meet with those individuals, right?
Yeah, I mean, anything, anxiety, depression, mood elevation. We work on gait training, speech. It's limitless, really.
It's all of it. And you're right. I think generally speaking, most of us consider music therapy being when we turn on the radio with coffee and we're jamming out in our socks and we're pumping ourselves up because we subconsciously are using it as a tool to overcome the mundane start of things or the moment of things. Because I know for me, I am so very happy that there is no camera in my house because in the mornings I think I am the dancing queen and I don't
That's
sound like her,
awesome.
nor do I look like her, but I leave that house feeling
Yes.
like that. So I know just for me personally, music is a big mood enhancer for me. And sometimes even I utilize it to just keep that mood going of whatever it might be. So I love that is how it is applied in a therapeutic manner on a bigger scale and also in a physical manner for individuals. Moreen, we have a 24-minute show and you have so much information to share with us and our listeners. And I wish that we could delve deeper and deeper into it. But unfortunately, we will be wrapping up today. I love what you do.
Oh,
and
thank
I
you.
love to see the changes in the individuals when they're receiving the music therapies. And I cannot wait till it is recognized at the same modality and respect levels all the other therapies that we utilize. Thank you for joining us.
Thank
you for
you.
sharing your message. Music really does matter. So go call Moreen and see if she can be helpful for you or your loved ones. Until we see you next week, have a great day.